everyone. I'm Stephanie Rudine, the Foundation Director for Hiawatha Homes Foundation. Thanks so much for joining us for a new series that we're piloting called Community Conversations with Hiawatha Homes. Each month, we'll be hosting a live discussion with different members of our Hiawatha Homes community and others in the disability services space. We're so excited to have our very first community conversation today. And to kick it off, we're going to be joined by Cindy Ostrowski, who's our Hiawatha Homes CEO. Today, we're going to be discussing the history of Hiawatha Homes and some of its current most pressing challenges. Thank you, Cindy, for joining me.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for having me. This is very exciting.
And so I feel like everyone knows you really well, Cindy, because you're such an amazing advocate and you're such an amazing CEO. But I'd still love for you to just introduce yourself. And for anyone who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. Well, I'm Cindy, and I've been at Hiawatha Homes since 2006. And prior to being at Hiawatha Homes, I started supporting people in the disability field in 1989. No, that's going to age me a little bit, but I had a wonderful opportunity to work in Winona at Home and Community Options in 1989. And I stayed there for 8 years, and it was a wonderful experience. And it was really the people that I worked with there that inspired me to continue in the field. And after working there in a residential setting, I worked 8 years with the Region 10 Quality Assurance Commission, supporting people through the voice review process. We had a wonderful group of stakeholders that developed voice, which was an alternative licensing and quality assurance system in several counties in southeast Minnesota. And then after being with the Quality Assurance Commission, I came to Hiawatha Homes in 2006.
So that's 16, it's going to be 16 years, Cindy, with Hiawatha Homes?
Yes. So I've been in the disability community for about 32 and a half years.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing. So for this session, I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about the background of Hiawatha Homes, when it was started, how it was started, and what were the needs in the community at the time it was started to kind of lead to the creation of Hiawatha Homes.
Sure. Well, if we go way back to services in our state of Minnesota, back in the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, there were not a lot of home and community-based services. And a lot of the children who had significant medical needs and developmental disabilities, there really were no resources in our community. And children's options were basically state hospital settings or very large institutional settings far away from their parents. And in the 70s, we had a wonderful group of family members, community advocates, ARC leaders, and people from our community, city leaders that were very instrumental. And so the group of family members started reaching out and talking to people, and they had this dream of bringing children back to their community and back to a home environment. And so in 1973, the family members started planning, and 1974, this land where Hiawatha Homes is today was purchased from the sisters St. Francis of Assisi Heights. So the Sisters of St. Francis were very supportive, and in 1976, Hiawatha Homes opened our doors, and we could support up to 40 children here at the children's home.
So that's pretty amazing that it was really just the power of community, which is the theme of this talk today, and these families coming together to create something so amazing. So starting as a children's home, how have you seen Hiawatha Homes, change and adapt to what it is today, which is, community-based housing, primarily for adults living with disabilities?
Right. And like you said, Stephanie, Hiawatha would not be here without our community and the support from our community and those families and those advocates. As Hiawatha Children's Home was here, the children started to grow up, and then there was more needs for an adult home too. So Hiawatha Homes actually opened an adult home in 1982. So we had the children's home and then we had the adult home. And the adult home was able to support up to 20 people and adults with disabilities. A wonderful thing happened in the 80s, and that was opening of home and community-based services. Home and community-based services is funded through a federal waiver that then comes to our states. And then through that funding, through home and community-based services, Hiawatha Homes was able to open home and community-based services. So our foundation was established, our Hiawatha Foundation was established in 1983, and our foundation started fundraising and working on developing homes in our community. And so in 1985, our first home was opened, our community residential home was opened. And in 1997, the adult home, everybody had moved out. And in 2002, everybody had moved out of our children's home. And now today, we have 20 homes where we're supporting people in the community. Now, one of those homes is owned by a person we support, and then our foundation owns the other 19 houses. The other need that was really, we knew that was there and is still there today, is family support services. And we have always had a very, very strong family support services since it opened in 1985. And what that allows is it allows for children and adults to really stay at home with their parents and live in the community as long as they want. And then when they're ready and get older and they want to maybe live with some roommates, they can move out into the community, either into a more independent setting, or if they choose to live in a residential setting, they can do that. The pandemic has affected our family support services program, whereas we were supporting, well over 20 people plus people in our respite program. Right now, we're not able to provide respite care, but we are supporting about 5 to 6 people in our family support services program.
Pre-pandemic, Cindy, do you know how many people were supported by family support services?
At one time, we were supporting probably about 30 people, and then as years have gone by and the staffing workforce shortage has affected every aspect of our services, then we had narrowed it down to probably 20 people plus respite. And we have a respite home, and we are able to support 4 people in that home every single weekend pre-pandemic. And since about March of 2020, we have not been able to support people just because with the workforce shortage, every one of our great team members has been kind of focusing in on the support needed in our residential homes.
So circling back to, you've mentioned both the pandemic and some of these workforce shortages. I was going to ask, what are some of the greatest challenges that you see currently facing both Hiawatha Homes and some of our disability services partners as well across the community and across Rochester? Are those two of the challenges that are really the most pressing right now, Cindy, or that you're addressing?
Yes, I would say so. With home and community-based services and other consumer-directed support options, there's really a lot of wonderful choices for people now. However, the workforce shortage is affecting every single aspect of how we provide services in our community. And whereas in 2014, we had about 400 team members, today we have approximately 240, 250. And that really does affect the number of people we can support in our community. So we strive to do our best in supporting people, and yet we're really hampered by the number of people we can support based upon the workforce. And our team members are so dedicated and they're working so hard, but we're not able to support as many people.
So you just mentioned, Cindy, did you say it went from about 400 down to about 200? So almost by half just in the last
240,
240.
250.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So a little under half, but still, that's a huge, huge decrease and staffing shortages. How do you see that? I know our staff is working really, really hard in the homes and they're doing an amazing job. But how do you see that kind of reflected in for the people living with disabilities or things like that? Do you think there's a reflection in how their daily lives are affected?
Well, yes, because community access is so important to people, and not only our friends in other residential provider settings, as well as our friends in our day programs, um, we're all affected by the staffing shortage and the workforce crisis. So our friends at our day programs, and they're working so diligently to get people back to work and back to their day programs. But with the workforce crisis, not everybody can get back to work. And so that does affect the people that we support. You know, many people are able to go back part-time, some full-time, but some are still on the waiting list. So not being able to go see your friends as often, and the type of activities that we once did with people and the frequency of the activities, that certainly has declined because we're not able to work at full staffing capacity. And so that definitely affects the lives of the people we support.
Yeah, I've been to a few homes, and one thing I would say that I think is a positive, and I know you're such a positive person, Cindy, so you'd probably appreciate this, is I was in one home recently, and even though the house coordinator did tell me they were unable to, go out as much and do as many things outside, they had decorated, the entire house for someone's birthday and for Christmas, and they were just making, still creating special moments for the people living in the house, even though maybe they
Yes.
couldn't go out and go bowling or do some of the things they used to do all together. So I think that, really speaks to how amazing our staff is trying to still create, those special moments that I think that's so important to Hiawatha Homes and the individuals.
Right. Yes.
So kind of reflecting back on, there was this group of families who came together who made such a big difference. How do you see the community can still be involved to kind of help with the challenges that we have now, primarily some of these staffing shortages, and things like that?
Right. Our community is so important in many aspects. Just us working together collaboratively is important. We have a lot of great community partners, a lot of great community stakeholders and supporters, family members, guardians, but just working together to keep educating other community members about how important our direct support professionals role is, how important our supervisors and every role here at Hiawatha Homes is so important. But we need to keep educating people about the services that we're doing, the importance of the services. People living in home and community-based settings is so important, and that is at risk if we can't, work together to strengthen our workforce and the disability community. And our community members can help us by spreading the word, like, Hiawatha Homes is hiring, as is a lot of our other friends here in Rochester, supporting people with disabilities, both residential and day providers. But this is a very, very important position and job that our direct support professionals are doing. And we need to value the job of the people, our direct support professionals. It's very important, and value the lives of people with disabilities, because we're all in this together, our community. And if we can educate others and advocate together and collaborate together, that's so very, very important. And educating our legislators, and we have an awesome group of legislators in Olmsted County. I know them all, and they know Hiawatha Homes, and they're very, very supportive. But it takes us advocating at every level, the state level and the federal level, with our legislators and Congress representatives, that the lives of people with disabilities is so important. And made so many gains across so many years. We just need to keep going. We can't go backwards in time. We need to keep going forward and offering community supports and more independent living options. And we can only do that with the full community support and our legislators' support.
Thank you, Cindy. Is there anything you would say specifically if there's someone out there who says, like, I really want to, help Hiawatha Homes, I want to help with what's going on right now? Anything specifically you think that someone could do, right away? Or
Sure, we love volunteers. Even if you're working in a different position, but you just have a little bit of time that you would love to visit, we have our Hiawatha Homes Foundation team, and is working with our HR team and volunteer opportunities. So people love to have volunteers, and reading to them and maybe cooking with them and doing crafts with them and having fun in the house with them, or a volunteer helping go on an activity with people out in the community. We so appreciate our volunteers and our community support. But you can make a difference by volunteering. You can make a difference by giving either of your time, your talent, or your financial support. Our foundation does a lot of great things and supports a lot of fun activities and equipment and program with the funds that are raised. So people can definitely get involved in one way or another.
yeah, thank you, Cindy. And I'll put a link for volunteering as well on this video, so that if anyone is interested, they can sign up. Well, thank you so much for joining us for our first of hopefully many community conversations. And thank you for sharing and being so passionate about disability services and helping people living in our community, Cindy.
Well, you're very welcome. And if anyone's watching and they'd like to get more involved in community advocacy or advocating at our state level, please feel free to reach out to me and give me a call or send me an email.
All righty. Thank you so much, Cindy.
Thank you. Have a good day.